welcome all of you. Are following us from Italy. We know that it's quite early, 8 in the morning. We are in Dubai, in Padiglione Italia, at Expo, and today we speak about Design Meets Technology, a special event in our series Olivetti Design Talks. We are in Dubai Design Week, and we know that the human centricity that is part of the Padiglione Italia meaning, beauty connects people, is part of our life. For our life, I mean Olivetti life, because the beauty is in the products, is in communication, is in everything we did and we are doing, and the people is at the center of every our activity. Today we'll speak about one idea that is a concrete idea that we already have. Paolo Glisenti in the past meetings spoke about something that is that Padiglione Italia are showing to the world in terms of something existing. Today we'll do the same.
So first of all, good morning everyone, also from my side. We are coming to you from a sunny, beautiful Dubai. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for joining us. So, there is a panel of, as you can see here, 5 speakers. I just want to introduce very quickly our guest, Tommaso Mosconi, General Manager, IoT Solutions, Francesco Zurlo, Professor at University of Politecnico di Torino, Politecnico di Milano, He's also curator of the Italian Genius exhibition at Expo 2020 Dubai with Carlo Martino. Mohamed Balila, he's an architect. He's, let's say, a smart city expert. Alessandro Colombo, he's an architect, and he's an exhibit design expert again. Walter Mariotti is the editor of Domus, so he's the director of this very important magazine founded in 1928. Okay, so we are at Olivetti Design Talks. It's basically a 1-hour conference. We started in as you see in this slide, on February 25th, 2021. So every 2 weeks, we organize a conference about the most important topics of Olivetti, every Thursday from 8:30 until 9:30, more or less. More than 40 people were attending the conference. I just want to give you some names you can see on the left side regarding people from university, people from editorial magazines, experts from the world of communications. And there were many partners, as you can see here. The first 4 partners are the Olivetti Historical Archive, the Olivetti Company, the Adriano Olivetti Foundation, and the Politecnico di Torino. I just want to mention the World Design Organization, which is the main international voice for industrial design, and the ADI, the Italian Design Societies, among the main partners. Here we return our, let's say, 11 conferences in one book. The title is Kaleidoscopio Olivetti, so Kaleidoscope Olivetti. So we try to return this complexity in just one book. The authors of the essays are on the left side.
Okay, let's go with what's Olivetti today and what does it mean in terms of Olivetti style. We'll go quick through some examples. Olivetti is something that, especially in the last 2-3 years, is coming back on a worldwide scenario. One example is this one, Universo Olivetti, another exhibition done from Fondazione Adriano Olivetti together with Maxi, together with Olivetti Historical Archive, going around the world. Another point of view is this one. We speak about corporate social responsibility. We speak about comunità and community. And we start from Ivrea, our house, with an Olivetti art collection. It's in Ivrea Museum, and for the first time we have the square with our founders in the square. But to create a link, and we started to create a link between past and future, we did also a virtual reality experience. Together with Action Technologies, Olivetti partner, we create the collection experience because we think that it's really necessary that everyone is moving according to the possibilities linked to COVID situation. But if you can come to Ivrea, you need to see what we have, and this is a way to share with all the people around the world what Olivetti is also in this area, in this part. Ivrea, like I was saying, is our main headquarters. Ivrea is an UNESCO World Heritage Area since 3 years ago. Who are our stakeholders? I'm trying to go on with the slide. Okay, we have the headquarters in Olivetti that is Casa Blu. Casa Blu is a nice place created by Eduardo Vittoria, an historical architect. We were speaking about architects now, and it's very significant. Pierpaolo, if you want to add something about...
Sure. Casa Blu was also the home for the Interaction Design Institute. It was a very important school that started in 2000. It was let's say, 2 years postgraduate master, just to tackle the issues of interaction design. So digital technologies were at the center of everything, of education, of course, but also a place for researching. And there were many professors, very important professors coming from the United States and other parts. For instance, Bill Moggridge, Gillian Crampton-Smith, John Takara, and other people. Yeah.
Okay. Olivetti today, inside Casa Blu, what does it mean? We are a factory. A few days ago, our CEO, Juan Godin, had another interview here in Dubai last week, and he better exposed what it means. In few words, we work around, we are the team group digital factory, and we work around 2 big pillars. One is the IoT, and the second one is around the digital payments. Everything is linked again to the people needs and to the company needs. We work together with public administrations and PMI. And around all these things, I was listening last week to the ANCI, the National Comuni, the National Association of Italian Comuni event, with many measures in the room, and we are speaking about smart living, smart city, urban mobility, and so on. All these things are what we are doing. A couple of examples to stay in the beauty arena is what we are doing inside the team group in Venice, Milan, Ivrea, Rome, Pompeii, to say some few words and to do some examples. Design Meets Technology, that is the title of today's event, is something that we synthesize in this hashtag cloud. That is what we are communicating every day on all our social media, and not only social. Who are our stakeholders? The people that in the concept of comunità or community are working with us to go ahead in our development. There is the Ivrea municipality, and here you can see Stefano Sertoli, the mayor. And I remember that Adriano Olivetti too was the mayor of Ivrea in the past. Patrizia Paglia, president of Confindustria Canavese, and again Olivetti was the founder of Confindustria Canavese. Guido Saracco, director of Turin Politecnico, and again both Camillo and Adriano Olivetti were graduated in Turin Politecnico. So with all of them we start to rebuild the new Olivetti. We say the new Olivetti because it's a new path and we go ahead. Pierre?
Okay, when we talk about Olivetti, we have to talk about typewriters, very important machines, and Olivetti won also 16 Compassidoro awards. So there is here a slide with a list. I just want to mention Lettera 22, which is an iconic typewriter. It's, let's say, an example of good design of the 50s. Marcello Nizzoli was the designer. Of course, we have to mention also the engineer, and there is also Adriano Olivetti as one of the winner of Compasso d'Oro. Regarding the machines, I want to mention Elea, was electronic calculator. The designer was Ettore Sozzas with other, of course, engineers, and the Compasso d'Oro was awarded in 1959. Spazio, it's an office furniture set by B.B. Pierre, which is an important design studio, architectural studio firm in Milano, and of course other very iconic projects and products. Here there is just an example of the Olivetti Design Talks, also let's say in different context. In September, we organized an Olivetti Design Talk at Rinascente, which is a store in Torino, Milano, and other important places. It was founded at the end of 19th century. There was a very good example, of course, in France with the Bon Marché stores. And here we organize an exhibitions and a talk about some important chapters of Olivetti.
Coming back to Ivrea, we enter in today's subject, Unica inside Synthesi family. Why Synthesi? Synthesi, again, is something that we'll see also in the Italia Geniale exhibition later. It's something that is linked to the geniality of Italian thought and Olivetti story, because Synthesis was a big success of the past, and we wanted to give a new life to this concept. This is the launch in Ivrea. Carlo Ratti too, that is one of the father of Padiglione Italia, take part to the first launch that we did in Ivrea a few months ago. What's Synthesis? We'll see in a short time with one of the founder of Techno and IoT Solutions that were our partner. It's something that is the synthesis of work and life ecosystem, helping us to work especially in this period. Last week we won the SMAU Innovation Prize about this product, because it's the first time that someone in the world is doing something similar. And we launch again during the Salone del Mobile in Milan, and here you can see some example. I ask a question to Tommaso Mosconi, that is the general manager of IoT Solutions, part of Techno Group. We were speaking about the Sensible City together with Carlo Ratti in the launch of Ivrea. You created this product. What do you think about which are the values that are around this product? Why do you think that is necessary to have something similar in the world? We can start with Tommaso video.
Thank you for your question, and hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you, even if digitally. When the war stopped, we kept on working. Everybody experienced this situation, except that our homes became our office and we weren't ready. Some advantages: work from home means no morning rush, no long commutes, a more suitable way of life. We rediscover our neighborhoods, local store, the values of our communities and family. We love it, and we love stay outside the city center. Actually, we cannot go back. We don't want to go back, and now we have the chance to solve the problems we faced during the last year. For example, inadequate workstation at home. Our home is not built to be an office. Work that invites family space has no future, but we love to work from home. It is time for a solution that puts people, their needs and their well-being at the center. We talk a lot the human-centering in in the last year actually. Tecno and Olivetti tried to solve this kind of problem, and I believe we solved this kind of problem, creating Synthesis, the work-life ecosystem. A family product that fits perfectly in the sensible city. We welcome the user from the smart building office to the home ambience with integrated software and IoT solution built around people and their needs. Let's start from home. As told before, working from home in the past 2 years had enormous advantage. We save a lot of time for commuting. We were closer to our family, we work more concentrated, more focused, but as told before, our home is not suitable for work. We don't have the size to accommodate the office, or we don't have size to accommodate a workstation. And work should invite the privacy and emotional equilibrium of our houses. Let's start from Unica, one of the products of the Synthesis family. Unica is the workstation based on different value. First of all, the right to disconnect from work at the end of the day. Unica, thanks to the minimal and essential design together with the closing mechanism, allow the user to switch off and put the work in the background to concentrate attention to home and family. The second thing is that we make the smart working truly smart. Unica provides all the devices needed and the connectivity to handle work fast and easily. Finally, and I think the most important part is the comfort and the personalization. Unica is equipped with all technology, all IoT technology, from sensor for measure the air quality, sensor to measure how many times you move or you need to take a rest, deliverable white, allowing to follow the natural cycle of light, headphone noise cancelling, monitor with the eye refresh rate, and so on. I think we totally changed the experience of home working. Let's talk about the office now. As we can see, as we already see, the home changes, so thus our way of living the office will change. This past 2 years just confirmed the vision of the space we were working on since 6 years. The space as a service that we used to call it is no more linked only for co-working environment, but today will become a routine for all organizations and buildings. This space of the past have been intensively exploited using every available centimeter. Remote working is changing the value of office space by creating new function. The future of work now takes on a new dual nature. From my point of view, the home is the place for concentrated and focused work. The office is the place to meet, discuss, and express ourselves. It's a place to meet, connect people, mind, and idea. So, if office became a service needs a software to manage rapidly it. For this purpose, Synthesis software platform make it easy. Let me explain better. Synthesis integrate various software systems and many different communication protocols. We can manage furniture, digital furniture, architectural elements, IT tools, lighting, access control logs, and much more. without limits for future implementation. It is really easy. When in the office you can book parking spots, locker, common space such as coffee areas and canteens, desk, meeting room, and activate internal and external services. The Synthesis software, the Synthesis platform, the Synthesis app actually is the same that we use for Unica when we are at home.
Since our homes have become our offices, we need to find a new balance. Synthesis is here, the ecosystem that lives in an app and works for your well-being. Unica is the revolutionary workstation created to make remote working really smart. Surf the web in total security without using your home connection, with utmost visual, acoustic and environmental well-being. With technologies at the service of your health, which you control directly from the app. And when you've finished working, Unica takes up very little room. When you move from your home to the office, the Synthesis app also shows you your company building digitized, mapped and connected, so you can move around and make use of spaces in complete comfort and safety. Stress-free arrival with reserved parking space and access thanks to your unique profile. You can leave your bag or collect your mail in the locker area. Book and access your workstation. Or organize a meeting with your team. Setting the environment with the most suitable scenario. And your breaks are in complete safety. In Synthesis, we have simplified the management of environments to make them safer, more organized and efficient, putting design and technology at the service of a sole purpose: your well-being.
So, now back to your question. I believe that we don't develop new product for this new particular situation. We just adapt our product and our production to the rapid change of the new way of living home and new way of living offices. We just put in the center the well-being and the human. So, thank you very much for your attention and have a good day.
My Pier.
Okay, so I have a question to Professor Zurlo, to Francesco Zurlo. So from your perspective as curator with Carlo Martini of the exhibition here at the Italian Pavilion about Italian design, where there are, of course, some products made in Ivrea or by Olivetti. So what's your let's say, thinking about the legacy of Olivetti in terms of designing, moving from one scale, the scale of the product, to the scale of, let's say, city?
Thank you. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, Pierpaolo. As you can see, the technology not follows the needs of people. And also, maybe you change a little bit the description of this conference, because there is no technology without design. And I think this is the most important legacy coming from Olivetti, from my point of view. Why? Because, you have a lot of technologies, available technologies. The problem is how to make sense of these available technologies. A few years ago, a newspaper, American newspaper, in the cover, there was a very interesting article claiming the idea of a Cambrian age for technology. The Cambrian age was a very surprising age because you had a big explosion of living beings in the oceans. a big contradiction for Darwin, no? For Charles Darwin interpretation of the evolution of species. And that was very interesting, the metaphor, because today we are living the same explosion, like a Cambrian age for technology, because technology is everywhere. It's cheap, it's, diffused, homogenized, diffused in the world. So the problem is how to make sense of this technology, and you need design. And I think that Adriano and Roberto later, they understood, so this very important role for design and for humanities, so because we need to consider that design is something in between, so humanities and technique, or maybe interpreting the idea of smart art coming from the ancient word techne, from Greece, from the old Greek. So Adriano and Roberto, they gave sense to technologies, interpreting technology in different ways. So I'm very delighted to stay here with you today, because I'm an Olivetti addicted for many reasons. First of all, because one of my mentors was Eduardo Vittoria. Eduardo Vittoria pushed me to come to Politecnico di Milano to start my academic career, because I was graduated in Roma La Sapienza, where I met Professor Vittoria. So, and Vittoria is a very important reference person for the Olivetti history, related to architecture, but even to the an idea of design, total design, for the company. So this is one of the most important reasons. The second one is related to my specific expertise, because I'm a professor of strategic design. It's a strange word, strategic design. You can interpret in different ways, because even design is a strange word, because you have a lot of industries and then you have many ways to interpret design. But strategic design more. Sometimes you can say strategic design is related to design management, the way you manage design. Sometimes it's related to the idea of design leadership, how to use this idea of design mindfulness within the organizations in order to steer the innovation processes. Sometimes you can interpret design, strategic design, as design thinking. And Olivetti was an anticipator of all these phenomena. Strategic design, from my point of view, this is a way to explain to the students the idea of strategic design is a way to make a difference in the market. So we need to consider the business side of our profession. And you make sense of the offering of the companies, considering the huge set of touch points that you need to design. So not only the products, but you need to consider the communication, you need to consider the services you want to add to the products, you need to consider even the design of the experience in the retail system, so even the headquarter, and even the way you want to involve, engage, let's say, the employees or the stakeholders in the territory where the company acts. So this is very important. This is what we call product system, product service system. So this is a way to provide sense to the technology, because it's a systemic way, the right pathway to differentiate, to make sense of the offering of the company. So this is the first important thing. The second thing is about, let's say, a reference to the exhibit. So we call the exhibit Italia Geniale. So it's quite complicated to translate geniale in English. It's something related to smartness, brightness, or witness. So we decided to not translate to keep it in Italian, because genius or geniale is related to this idea. But I think that subtitle is more impressive, because we use this word, design enables, and taking as reference a framework, a theoretical framework that put the persona, human beings, in the center of every innovation. That was also a way to fight with an idea of personas like just users. You know that today, even for design thinking, for the big success of design thinking, you need to start from the observation of the users, understanding what are the, let's say, user sacrifices, the gaps in using products and services and so on. But there is, you know, a kind of userism, too much attention to the users. The users are not just organic containers of needs. They have desires, they have emotions, they want to relate to other people and so on. So this idea of persona is related to this different way of interpreting users, coming from a philosopher like Amartya Sen or like Martha Nussbaum. Martha Nussbaum specifically defined a set of main capabilities related to the idea of persona. Social justice, the way you can express yourself, no? Without any difference of gender, or with the possibility to express your talents without any kind of constraints coming from the society, or the right for playfulness. That's something fantastic for designers. The right for imagination, the possibility to express your capabilities related to creativity and imagination. So we decided with Carlo Martino to take this reference, and we organized the 99 products of this exhibit in 5 big clusters related to different abilities. The ability to move safe and freely, the ability to relate. The products are trigger of relationships. So we put some of them, no? Some of these products, some of these artifacts, the coffee makers. No? That's a way not to share with other people, pleasurable time. Then livable, to take care of yourself and other people, other species. And then imaginable, the importance of imagination. So products that go beyond the function, finding new meanings, and to trigger also in this case imagination and creativity. So, and finally workable. So the possibility to work, to express your talents and so on. And there is a very huge link with the legacy of Olivetti, the respect for workers, the respect for employees, the respect for the future users of their products. We selected a couple of products from Olivetti legacy, small chair for Olivetti Synthesis, 1972, I think, designed by Ettore Sottsass, and another product designed by Ettore Sottsass, the very iconic Valentine. So Valentine is a way to critically anticipate the future, because in that product there was the idea of a nomadism related to the future of work, what we are living today. So the possibility to bring with you your work, no? So with this ABS container, rack container, and so on. And think about the way Milton Glaser took a picture, no? took an image about this, taking inspiration from a Renaissance painting and putting the Valentine inside that painting, with this very interesting idea, otium, no? So, because this is what the painting evokes for the people, how to exploit your time freely to improve maybe your productivity. What we are exploring today, experiencing today, no? So critical anticipation, thanks to small products like Valentine. We are doing a research about the evolution of work. Workable was a way to express this research. I really appreciated the experience that you started with Techno. Techno, 20 years ago, did a very interesting research about kind of atomized workstations designed by very important designers like Gaio Lenti, for instance, or other designers. 20 years ago, the time was not the right time to start with this idea of workstation, domestic workstation. Now, you can do it. But, maybe in the Olivetti legacy, the interpretation of this idea of work, and maybe you can exploit just looking at the products we selected with the exhibit Italia Geniale, is that you can work at your home, but you need the physical touch, the physical contact with people. You need to create, let's say, a palimpsest of opportunities within the office buildings. You need to create some informal places to meet other people. One of the most important things today for the office design is creating the condition in order to make people relate, make people meet, specifically people coming from different silos. This is what we call weak ties. We need to improve weak ties because innovation comes thanks to weak ties. So from my point of view, this exhibit is a way to give a tribute to the legacy of Olivetti. And please go and enjoy the exhibit.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I keep one point, anticipate the future. That is very important in what we see and in what we'll see again, what we saw in the past and what we'll see in the future. Mohamed, a question to you, and in the meantime I give you this for the slides. You work and you live here in Dubai, a big smart city. And what does it mean for you, beauty connects people in your work, in your life? You are a teacher also, and you have students, you have young people. How you manage this concept with them and in your job?
Thank you very much for having me. I'd like to think that, I'm going to show you some slides in a second. I'd like to think that I made a full circle in a way, because we're in November 2021. Expo's been delayed by a year, as many other events worldwide, because of something that, to be honest, we all underestimated in the form of what we thought was a local pandemic, but it became, by the term pandemic, pan, as in it spread so quickly. I was saying I made a full circle because in November 2019, the Italian Pavilion came to the American University in Dubai, where I teach, and we had the launch of the Italian Pavilion, where the ribbon was cut on site, but they came beforehand, and I was the moderator, and I introduced the architect, Mr. Italo Rota. In regards to your question, I have some slides that I would like to answer the question. First and foremost, I'd like to think that I am a teacher, but I'm also a student. I learned, and I keep learning, both from my mentors, my colleagues, and my students. So very quickly, I'd like to show some slides. I know that we're pressed with time. I'd like to start by wishing Olivetti a belated happy birthday. Happy 113th, I believe it's correct.
Thank you.
As the year. Thank you for having me. It's a tremendous honor to be here. I come from an Arabic and Italian background, so it's extremely meaningful to be at the Italian Pavilion today. And Olivetti is a symbol of Italian excellence, not just because of their longevity, but because of their commitment to excellence in design. Any architect that hears the word Olivetti automatically thinks of the Olivetti showroom in Venice, built in 1958 by Carlo Scarpa, a master architect of the 20th century. I'd just like to make you imagine how when two visionaries meet and they have the creativity and the audacity to think big, this is what can be created. Adriano Olivetti was both an entrepreneur, an engineer, a politician, and most importantly, I believe, he believed in the importance of the social dimension and society. Giving back to society was very important. So he showed incredible innovation by inviting and commissioning one of my all-time heroes, Carlo Scarpa, the architect, who inherited a site on Piazza San Marco. I'm sorry for my students, I promised that I wouldn't talk about history, but it's one of the subjects that I teach, as you'll see in the video, and I find it extremely interesting because history is just stories. It's a series of stories. So he inherited a very small site just off of the iconic Piazza San Marco in Venice, the most important piazza in Venice, which in itself is an iconic city, of approximately 21 meters by 5 by 4 in height, I believe. Basically, it was like a crammed space divided into two areas by a wall. And the first thing that the architect Scarpa did was he removed the wall that divided the two spaces, focusing all the attention on the central space and the staircase, which I'll show you in a second. Obviously, displayed in the showroom were products by the Olivetti company, including, of course, typewriters, calculators, computers. The architect Scarpa showed extreme sensitivity by not just focusing on the products and on the detail of the architecture that's displaying the products, but also at focusing on the exterior. It is no coincidence that some of the most successful pavilions at Expo 2020, in my humble opinion, don't just focus the attention on what's displayed inside the pavilion, but also focus on the attention on what's outside in terms of context. And I'll mention that very briefly in urban design. So in this relatively small space, all the attention is on the details, the architectural details, but also the details of the products that are displayed. It is very difficult to understand where do the products end and where does the architecture begin, and vice versa. So with that, I wanted to show certain projects that I worked on that relate to not necessarily architecture, more product design, and also what I teach at the American University in Dubai in a second. So for example, this is a door knocker, where my idea was, from the beginning, thinking about the importance of technology in terms of using machinery to translate the design that I have from a design or a sketch into a 3D manifestation, but also about sustainability in the form of controlling material waste and sustainable prototyping in thinking how to be as efficient as possible with the limited resources of time, or when I was a student also at Yale University, budget. So there was a door knocker. This was a bookshelf made out of one sheet of aluminum, bent 4 times, trying to maximize the surface and also the design brief of something that has to be functional before you can even give it an aesthetical quality. Going also in terms of the desk organizer, the idea of folding, again, a sheet of aluminum with limited space in terms of seeing how it's functional both for notes and pencils and pens, all the way to something like a pepper grinder, something that has to be comfortable and functional before it can be actually displayed or critiqued as a product. All the way to using technologies such as, for example, water jet. The water jet is similar to a laser cutter that cuts almost any material using just the pressure of water. So this is an aluminum sheet with the Arabic calligraphy that I examined at the time that would create one sheet with the words of, in this case, God, just in terms of beautiful calligraphy that I was experimenting with. All the way to processes and understanding what is the difference between subtracting from a product, for example, from a material. Carlos Scarpa believed in the respect of the material and the user, and I'd like to think that I share his views in the form of looking at, for example, wood or mahogany, and what does it mean to carve away from that material, what we see here in the brown, and also what it means to add. So it's additive subtractive because it's combining, let's see if I can point. It's combining both the material of the addition, the 3D printing, which is the gray material that you see here. It's just a resin from a 3D printer, with subtraction from mahogany in the form of a CNC milling process. And you see the finished product here of combining two almost opposite directions. One is in the plus and one is in the negative in terms of a synthesis of design. I'll show you a video with some ideas of CNC milling. This is another exploration that I did after my studies, again combining the subtractive nature here, starting with a block and reducing it to the element of the design, and then adding on it something that was added from a 3D printing process. Recently, I gave 2 lectures at the American University in Dubai, one titled Sound Mind in Sound Body in Sound Environment. I don't believe that it's a coincidence that it's both a Latin saying, but also an Arab saying. That doesn't include the environment because it is taken for, it's almost expected that we know that we're talking about the environment, because there can be no sound mind in no sound body if we're not careful with how we're using the environment. Perhaps what has happened in the last 2 years in the world is a sign, whether you believe in a higher source or not, that the planet is telling us that it's sick in the form of how we are abusing some of the resources. I also gave recently a talk about the field trip of a lifetime. I was appointed the Expo 2020 academic coordinator for the American University in Dubai, so I am tasked to take as many students and alumni and colleagues to Expo, which I think is for the next 6 months, in this case it's 5 months now, the greatest show on earth. There's nothing that competes in terms of scale for anyone to understand. The only people that understand Expo are people who have been to a previous Expo. And I was lucky enough to discover accidentally Expo 2000 in Hanover, Germany. So what do? I like to keep students as engaged as possible. I think learning should be fun, should be playful, as we said before. So we thought of making an unofficial guide to Expo 2020 in the form of Grand Best Expo, in the form of daily competitions in terms of photographs, treasure hunts in terms of pavilions. We plan on having one in the Italian pavilion very soon that involves the great sculpture that is to our right in the next couple of days. But I'd like to conclude very quickly with the idea of the importance of believing in yourself and believing in those around you. This is a drawing of the official opening of Cavalleria Rusticana by Pietro Mascagni. Something that people don't know is that this was his first opera as a composer, and it's also his greatest in terms of fame. But what they don't know is he did not believe in himself, and he actually, when he composed it, he threw it in the garbage. And the hero of the story, or the heroine in this case, is his wife, that picked it up from the trash and said, "This is beautiful. I don't understand music like you do, but this is beautiful." And had it not been for her, we would not have heard the Cavalleria Rusticana, and particularly the intermezzo, which is what I would like to show you in the video. Intermezzo means literally between 2 elements or 2 acts. I believe as a world right now, we are in an intermezzo, and we need to reflect on seeing this as a second chance, what has happened with the pandemic and the world as a whole. So I'll stop talking, and I'd like to show you this video that encompasses everything.
Thanks so much.
to conclude with just the last two slides, which is artificial intelligence is definitely a positive moving forward. We just need to remember that we need human intelligence to control it.
Yeah.
And finally, perhaps we need to sometimes think of something so big that we need to reinvent ourselves to meet it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so the pictures we saw regarding the Olivetti showroom in Venice are a very good bridge to the question I want to pose to our colleague Alessandro Colombo. So Alessandro, let's say that Olivetti opened several showrooms in the 50s and the 60s that are still a benchmark, a reference for everyone dealing with high quality design of exhibit space or let's say showrooms. So from your point of view, can you make a parallelism between new stores and comparing to what Olivetti did in the 50s and 60s? So could you make a kind of parallelism between these two words? Thank you.
Thank you, Pierpaolo. Good morning, everybody. And yes, I think we can do. I have some pictures to better understand the problem and to find the answer to the problem. Of course, Adriano Olivetti, and before him Camillo Olivetti, had the strong idea that the States has to be the place for market for Olivetti. And also the strong idea that they have to communicate that. So they start to think about opening a showroom in New York in the 50s. And they had the opportunity to talk with some very important, also young architects at that time, that was B.B. Pierre, that were touring in U.S. to study the skyscrapers. They are, in that time, starting the project of Torre Velasca, and they were already there. So Adriano Olivetti asked to him to design a showroom in New York, in Fifth Avenue, in Diamond District. So it was something unusual that a so-called technology company has a showroom in the Diamond District. And this was the opportunity to give a reality to idea of Olivetti that was the total quality of the project. So if I am making good and high-level typewriter machine, then I have to communicate my high quality everywhere, in my graphic design, my product design, in my exhibit design. That was the idea to design this space that had a lot of things that now can be normal, can be usual, but at the time was completely new. You can see in this picture the typewriter machine that was outside the building, was on the street, was open to public, so the people can try to test. So it's real, it's absolutely real, but it's designed like an art piece. So you see the motif of these stalactites that are all in the showroom, but one of them is outside, and it's a masterpiece. It's made by solid marble, Italian marble, of course. This is designed in every detail, but it's free to use by the people. And this is absolutely strong, absolutely innovative. And so on, everything in the showroom is studied, is designed with this idea, to give global quality to the public. Everybody. Also, if I'm not interested, if I find something that is outside, that is open to my use, can be interesting for me. And maybe later I will buy one. But that is not the most important problem, sell typewriter machine. The most important problem is to communicate quality. And the space is plenty of inventions. You see over there the so-called paternoster, so this lifting machine that bring from the basement the typewriter machine to the shop, and that was a fantastic innovation, coming from the old time, but absolutely updated to the technology. Everything, the lighting, the desk, the chairs, has been designed. Has been designed at top quality at that moment. You see here is most related to a museum, to an art gallery, than to a technology shop. And the relation with art is clear. Art is not like a decoration in the showroom, but it's a part of the showroom. The big wall by Costantino Nivola is an invention, also technologically, because the sandcast technique was something absolutely new at the time that he has improved to do also big surface like this one. And with no meaning. He was used to say that what is the meaning of this wall? Nothing. It's something to be interesting. It's something that we can enjoy. It's an opportunity to be happy. Strategy design. We need to be happy in this space. We need to enjoy our soul, our feeling. And it's absolutely something fantastic, in my opinion. You can see in this picture how innovative it was. And of course, this kind of approach was something that was important not only for us Italians, but for everybody. The president of IBM was awarded in the 60s with this prestigious Kaufman Design Prize. And when he received the prize, he said, I understood what is design when I visited the Olivetti showroom in Fifth Avenue in New York. That's not by chance that is like that. You see, it's nice like a sculpture. And of course, people was queuing there. And this was the best way to communicate that something important was there. And suddenly, Olivetti adventure take other direction, but somebody in New York, in Fifth Avenue, 20 or 25 years later, understood that there was the opportunity to make the same invention in different way, with different language. But when Apple opened the showroom in Fifth Avenue, a little bit upper, near the Central Park corner, they designed a landmark. They designed the glass cube outside the building, in this case on top of the showroom, but the strategy was the same. I go out with my sign, I invite people to look at me and to understand what is an apple inside a cube. I don't know. Of course, there is some differences because Apple standardized the interior design. No frills, we have a table, we can work with you here. We are here, please come in and try our machine. But in the exterior, they try to make landmark everywhere they can. Also in Milan, they designed this space that is a plaza with a big fountain, and it responded to the same need to communicate something. What? The quality.
Alessandro, sorry if I interrupt you, but they are telling me that we have the last 5 minutes, and we should have also the last interviews with Walter Mariotti to have a...
No problem for that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
The last quick interview with Walter Mariotti. Walter, you have a strange position as a global trend watcher. What about smart cities, IoT, and big data opportunities to work for the future? We can start with the last video. Thanks.
On November 24th in Milan, there will be the 4th edition of Domus Forum. Domus Forum is a platform that the Forum created 4 years ago to investigate the future of cities. I think that the future of cities is the most challenging and even the most difficult scenario that we have to face. First of all, for a very simple numerical data, cities around the world occupies 3% of the global surface, of the global space, but on the contrary, they produce 70% of the wealth, of the production. So it's very difficult in this situation to be smart. So the future of cities is first of all to investigate what is now smart. After most of 10 years of this concept, smart cities, and after years of the focus about big data and IoT, intelligence of things, Internet of things, now it's time after the pandemic emergency to rethink the future of cities, because there is very clear scenarios that big cities, smart cities, small cities, no cities are completely different from how we suppose they would be. This is the first question, you know, the main frame scenarios. The second question, it's slightly different, you know. The second question is that pandemic emergency show how public functions that we definitely supposed to be part of the core of the cities are engoblated, you know, are absorbed by the private side of architecture. And how this balance would work in the future. If history show that we are not going back, we never go back, this means for cities that the hybridation between digital and real speed up, not just how we suppose before of the pandemic, but in a very different way. The first of this way is that we suppose to work outside, to move from home to the office, but now it's different. The second thing is that the house that we, in the last 2 decades, supposed to be very nuclear, with the abolition, for example, of some function like the kitchen, are not working anymore. So we have to rethink that. And so, you know, to synthesize, I think that the end of this new scenario, it's a beginning of another scenario where the data and the interpretation of data are changing drastically our idea of smartness, our idea of sustainability, our idea of mobility, and I would say more, even our idea of creation of social units, creation of community. So in these things, I think that Olivetti could play a major role, not just for the evolution that they demonstrated in the last 10 years, so to become one of big players of data and electronics and software, but for the history that they have. Because Olivetti remarked itself as a place which was able to create a culture of community, a culture of relationship, a culture of intersection between people, between economics, and also between innovation. So, you know, I think that we have to see and we have to wait and collaborate with Olivetti to imagine this new scenario, which it's still to be designed. And we know how important design was for Olivetti, is for Olivetti, and will be for Olivetti.
Thanks so much. Imagine a new scenario is something that we keep in mind with something that we see during this hour that we already finished. Anticipate the future, let's say, we design through technology with the human at the center of everything that we'll do also in the future. We can see the last video that shows us what Olivetti is doing today, and then we'll finish this hour. Thanks to all of you, and keep in touch, following us on all the social media channels. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.